afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from the host, Imperial Dane, featuring a 1 vs 1 on Semois. Yes, indeed, we're back to Semois. We're back to Daylight Semois, even, which of course means this is a custom match between the two players, having a nice little jolly fight there. Oh, ha ha, hee hee, I took out most of your troops. Oh, how funny you. I'm going to murder you in your sleep. I mean, beat you another time. Anyways, we're going to be watching Gravemouth right here, fighting for the United States, rolling out for the 3rd Infantry Division, taking on the fight to Hans. No, not helping Hans, but we shall be watching Niksa fighting for the Wehrmacht, fighting for the 2nd Panzer Division, the Vienna Division, as was also known, raised in Austria and, well, to a certain extent, largely formed out of Austrian troops and such. Although, of course, later on the war, as that sort of recruitment thing rather didn't quite work out, of course, it might more likely have gotten troops from all over Germany and the German territories. And as we're seeing, 2 engineers start out here from Gravemouth, barracks up, rifling on the way. Gravemouth's engineers seem a bit confused. Where are we supposed to go again, Jerry? I don't know, just go towards that big thing over there. And then while we also seeing 2 pioneers start out here from Niksa. Niksa securing the fuel right here, and of course some players, again, the fuel on Semois, in particular as the Wehrmacht tends to get often harassed, but in this case, I mean, some players tend to wire this off, others tend to, be like, it's not really going to do much if engineers actually pop up, in which case they just send on the pioneers to do more work, take points, and then later on what usually tends to work best is as soon as you've got the munitions you actually mine this area, and then of course if someone tries to harass it, it goes kaboom. Also, they didn't used to be a tree there, now, did they? I think they updated this map for when they put it up on Steam, to be honest. Because I'm pretty sure there didn't used to be a tree there. Damn trees. Anyways, Pioneers, Volkskanadier sneaking up. There's the 1st Infantry Squad, Rifleman Squad there. So far, in a bit of a sense, a bit mirrored, except we are seeing Gravemouth here heading straight for the victory point, and the munitions right there, so a bit more aggressive, a bit more out forwards, although we also see the Volkskanadiers going a bit more aggressively towards the west, although at the same time Niksa is risking, having them on their own and being assaulted by a single Rifleman Squad, in which case they will be overwhelmed. Though we do quickly see a 2nd squad of Volkskanadier marching out. Big strategic point right there being secured. Niksa probably sensing something is out there, Hans. I smell Americans. I smell bacon fat. And companies here being run off by the Volkskanadiers. And yes, I keep calling them companies. That's what happens when you play Companies 2 and actually like it. Engineers moving in towards the center. Engineers up there run off. So of course Gravemouth will be shifting in towards the center, having given up on the northwest, while Niksa is a bit busy. They're also not wiring off this area a bit here, so the Americans can't quite so easily sneak in. Taking up positions there, perhaps expecting Gravemouth to make a move, and there we go. We actually see Gravemouth making a push with an engineer squad. Volkskanadiers are moving up. He's actually linking up the Volkskanadiers. That's a good move. Volkskanadiers work better together. And there we go. Quickly, 1 rifleman goes down in a storm of German fire. Riflemen, they're going to move in, going to flank perhaps the Germans, the Krauts, the Huns. In the meanwhile, the MD-42 sets up to support, and we do see an attempt here to flank, but that's quickly turned off. Engineers and riflemen instead taking up position in the church, firing down upon the Krauts. We do see Gravemouth right here realizing he can't really get much out of this fight, so he's pulling back to a slightly more defensive position, and we also see him immediately mining the entrance to the church. Jolly sneaky move there. Again, good mining. At the same time, Rifle Squad being pushed up here as Niksa is going for the harassment, cutting off the high munitions to Gravemouth and the 3rd Infantry. Lovely work right there by Niksa, who's actually pulling back his Volkskanadiers and then going to make another move instead of trying to push into the center, of course, against a prepared position. So, of course, he probably hasn't seen the mines, but he probably knows there's something waiting for him, and it's not going to be cake. MG42 here watching over the area. Niksa being a bit paranoid, not quite wanting to leave that point undefended, since he knows there's a sizable American force right here. And if he leaves that, he's probably going to get all of this cut off. So the infantry moving up there, he's likely going to possibly try sneak in from the rear of the town and then hit Gravemouth's positions from the rear. And that would be a good move. But no, instead, he pulls back here, doubles back, might try again for a frontal assault now that he's just got what he wanted, which is all of this connected once more in the name of the fatherland. 3 riflemen squad out, and there we go. We do see Niksa very aggressively mining right here. Nice, but less good that he does it right in front of the MD-42 and the engineer squad. Busy laying down mines, instead gets busy getting a gut full of bullets. In this case, Gravemouth's otherwise bold advance rather quickly gets stopped, although we do see a rifle squad trying to flank up here, but instead Sniper joining in as well. The riflemen absolutely get pummeled, and we could see Gravemouth losing 2 squads. Oh, within the first 5 minutes, he lost an engineer squad and a rifleman squad. That is not good. Gravemouth shouting out, "Retards, how could you? Uncle Sam will be most disappointed in you, and you shall write a scathing letter to your mothers for this insult to my command abilities." But of course, there's also the fact, he might have just wanted to retreat early instead of trying to flank the MG42 when clearly it was not going to work. Another rifleman squad quickly on the way to replace, including looks like another engineer squad. Gravemouth quickly filling out the ranks that were so thinned out brutally by Hitler's buzzsaw, which was the MG42 was known as, including also by the Germans Hitler's violin, I believe. Which rather begs the question what sort of music Hitler played. Anyways, mine goes off here, shattering the tiny little tree, and we're seeing a second MG42. No, he actually pulled it back down there, so apparently Niksa was... Oh, yes, he probably saw that, and of course expected something might happen there. Either way, of course, again, you can always note some movements about, your point being bloody well taken. Anyways, pushing in there, securing the center. We do see a counterattack going in from Gravemouth, Flamethrower engineers. No upgrades for the rifle. Instead, we're seeing a weapon support send up for Gravemouth. Likely going to get a sniper then. Less rare, you see a mortar heavy machine gun, though that would be nice. We do see the mines here getting spotted. Will Niksa be able to deal with it? No, he instead is forced back. As the rifleman pushes forwards, the sniper continues to lay down a murderous fire against the rifleman. Pushing forwards, Gravemouth is not to be stopped, instead forcing the Germans out of cover. He might even have Niksa worrying about grenades as the rifleman moves forwards, and in fact, this is not good for Niksa. He's actually being forced out of position. It would have been better for him to actually hate that. Yes, there we go. Nades. He is worried that Gravemouth has grenades. I don't think he actually has, though I could very easily be wrong, but I'm somewhat confident he's not upgraded. But again, Niksa worries. Niksa reacts. Again, there's always that sort of mind game going on, and in that sense, a good American player can actually again use that, for example, also, running infantry towards vehicles and again go, "Oh, Scheiße! Sticky bombs! Los, Hans!" But in this case, the mind games paid off for Gravemouth. He was able to actually push out a German player from an otherwise strong position simply through the threat of grenades. Though I'm not entirely sure what it used to imitate the grenades, since they can't really use dirty socks with sticks of soap in them. But there we go. Sniper on the way. Heckenschütze. Rifleman pulling away. Point taking up there. Rifleman pulling up there. Nice flanking work. Again, the minesweeper planning. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Vorsicht. He must have forgotten it. I hope he hasn't forgotten about the mine, because, that's... Oh Gott im Himmel, that's bad. Ja, ich bin der größte Scharfschütze in die Welt. Ich sehe alle... And in that case, gone. And there we go, sniper up. Tria sent out for Gravemouth as well. Really, we're going to see some, looks like, aggressive infantry fighting. We're seeing a Kriegbergs up, Grenadiers popping out, the 2nd Panzer Division pouring out some more infantry for the Fatherland. Some of its better Panzer Grenadiere. The 2nd Panzer Division being a bit more of an elite Panzer Division. Not quite Panzer Air Elite, but they still managed actually to get 2 battalions of half-tracks, which is actually pretty rare. Sorry about that, just a bit of ice. Enjoying a nice cold drink on this hot day. Rifle pushing in there. Oh, might try and... Oh, dear, sniper. 2 snipers up from Niksa, the swine. And there we go, he does have grenades. He does have grenades. This time, at least, he does have them. So I actually haven't forgotten that either way. If I did, then, of course, I duly apologise. I missed it. Oh, grenade! Oh, that was from the riflemen themselves, so they didn't actually manage to kill themselves on that. And there we go, going after the sniper. Oh, the Volksgrenadiers do hit the mine. Niksa lost a squad of brave little Volksgrenadiers. Engineers pushing up there, and snipers, where are they? Retreating back. Riflemen pulling up there. Engineers going up there. Oh, he's laying down a mine. He's trying to cover his tracks, of course. unless Niksa has gone defensive, he won't actually be able to see this, because then he won't have the extended line of sight, and that is a nice little trick here. Again, mining territory your opponent has, which tends to lead to a false sense of security. Most people don't expect what they actually hold in territory is actually mined. So this is a very sneaky little move. Snipers moving in there. Riflemen coming under intense fight. Quickly, 2 poor GIs go down like stalks of wheat in autumn. To the scythe, and oh no, he's sending in the snipers to catch the engineers, but there's a mine, Mina Niksa. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And of course, yes, he knows, of course, he's trying to lure them in. There we go, mine goes off. If the engineers get in, oh, so close to getting that other sniper. That was unbelievable. Niksa thinking, yes, some American targets. The target practice will be good, Heinz, yeah? And then Hans blows up and Fritz is covered in Hans. And almost gets killed by the engineers. If the engineers had killed the sniper, that would have been an absolutely huge moment right there for Gravemouth. Instead, we do see one sniper alive, but barely. And he'll certainly be a bit traumatized after that one. Grenadiers moving up to support the... another mine went off. There's so many mines and so many absolutely vicious mines just killing out either squads or snipers. So sneaky there, supply out going up. It's likely he will be going for something more vehicularized now. Another Grenadier squad on the way. 4 Niksa at the same time taking up. You could consider veterans in 2 infantry squads, but at the same time, of course, he may not feel quite so eager towards that with the enemy sniper about, because that's going to mean the sniper is actually going to be more likely actually to hit Grenadiers, even on retreat. Whereas the veterans won, there's no guarantees. And we're seeing airborne doctrine. Oh dear, he's actually going to see if he can't really catch his sniper with a straight recon run and then counter-snipe the bastard. That is... ooh, sneaky. In this case, the American sniper needs to be careful. You see Volkskriegs are rushing in. A nice flank here, trying to get the sniper with their MP40s, but just not quite succeed. Rather than putting in here, fighting against the Grenadiers, against the 2 soldiers of the Reich. And then we go, grenades getting locked with the Grenadiers. They do get out of there, cross the stream. The grenade explodes close to the water, throwing a bit of dirt and water about the place. The Grenadiers continue to find out. They might want to get into the light cover, but overall, I do believe they can and will win this fight against the Riflemen. Volkskriegs going in to cut off the retreat path. Lovely move right there. Another grenade against the Grenadiers. Oh dear! One did go down, and the Grenadiers actually get pushed off. Another Rifleman retreating. Oh, right. He was going to force them in. Yes. I, for a brief moment, rather forgot where the bases lay. That was a bit awkward. Oh well. And there we go, he's actually going straight for the tank depot, and he also went actually early on for an observation post, and he actually mined his fuel point as well. So, again, those sort of meta game, if you will, barbed wire largely not being used in the higher ranks. Now it's mined because, well, then you're actually also going to have to spend large resources to make this a safe move. Plus, it also is a lot less time. But a tank depot going to hit the Germans very soon. A Sherman would initially do quite well, in particular since there's pretty much no anti-tank weapons amongst Niksa's troops at the moment. Not a single Panzer Schreck. Only Panzer Faust, and there's only 1 squad of Volkskriegs to deliver those. And there we go, Volkskriegs versus Riflemen. MP40s tearing through the soft yards, and there we go, grenade right into the midst. And I think that might actually kill one of their own. That's not quite as good. The flamethrower engineers moving in. Going to scorch those Volksgrenadiers. And there we go. Oh dear, not looking so good. And there we go, the engineers went down. Not so good right there for Gravemouth. Flamethrowers are quite nasty, but less nasty against MP40s. And we are seeing the sniping rifle, and we are seeing, in fact, that Gravemouth is forced to leave the front line alone to deal with that single squad of Volkskriegs, causing absolute havoc behind his lines. Lovely work, and Niksa just going MP40. And there we go, the engineer pioneers will quickly lose 1 man. Medic bunker up there, nice. Niksa going to add a bit of attritional pressure. Fortify, dig in. Mixed armies bleed. And another mine goes off. Not quite killing anyone, but I'm pretty sure giving the Grenadiers quite the headache. And in fact, both players have now actually have observation points on their fuel. This is quite interesting. And he wins 3 squads. And now we're actually seeing Niksa going for Panzer Command as well. So both players are actually going for an armoured strategy in some sense. Interesting, interesting. And note here, he's actually worried that Niksa has mined this. So he's actually lobbing a grenade. Again, that's one, you know, mine-clearing tactic, if you will. It's a bit more expensive, but, you know, again, basically relies on just dropping a grenade, hoping you set up a mine. It's what some players do if they can't get up. And we're actually seeing a Sherman being sent in to support the 3rd Infantry, likely from Combat Command A. As I believe they were called, if the Americans had a tendency of taking the armoured divisions and splitting them up to support other units. Fuel being secured there. Grenadiers securing the munitions. We are seeing Gravemouth sending in its troops, going to launch an attack right here. But again, there's still the MD-42 nicely covering this area, nicely covering the market square, which again is what looks like Niksa likely has designated as his Schwerpunkt. But there we go, the Sherman is rolling in. The Panzer Command is not up. There's going to be some time, and there's nothing that can actually stop the Sherman. This could be an excellent time for Gravemouth to really lay down the pressure upon Niksa and really gain an advantage. But he needs to be swift, he needs to be determined, he needs to be resolute in the face of the German foe. There we go. MG crew immediately loses 1 man to a high explosive shell. Niksa needs to quickly retreat that one guy. And we're seeing terror up. Terror doctrine has been chosen. German infantry sneaking up here to hit the flank of Gravemouth. Rifleman moving up there. Bunker getting blasted. Bit of harassment here and there. Grenadiers snipe down to 1 man, down to 1 man. That could actually end up less than well. And oh, absolute desperation right there from Niksa. Propaganda warring the sniper to basically save his Grenadier squad from the risk of simply getting sniped in the back. Panzer Command still not finished. Although we do see a pack now on the way in the meanwhile to build up some time. Sherman rolling back. And now the Volksgunners are the ones retreating. And Fridolin bites the dust on the retreat. Medic bunker halfway, having a Grenadier squad ready to fight for the 2nd Panzer Division. Panzer section now being equipped for the Grenadiers. And recon run. He's perhaps hoping to catch someone in the base and strafe them. Or just to get an idea, of course, of what Niksa is doing. Of course, that's also another good reason just, use a recon run. Hey, what could my opponent possibly be doing in his base? Surely nothing that could actually cause me problems. Reason to be right. Of course, now he knows there's a pack on the way, likely, and of course he also sees the Panzer Command, so he is a bit more clear of what's going on. Sherman opening up once more in the medic bunker, rifle sneaking in there, the MD-42 again, well placed. Clearly, Niksa is not so worried about any assaults coming in from here. He's not worried again, and that since Gravemouth really might want to consider, launching an attack of greater kind from here. Either way, Panzer X finding way, pack getting closer. Might be able to get the flank on the MG. Sherman pushed away. Grenades going off left and right. And there we go. The Sherman gets it. The Sherman gets the medic bunker. Grenades going off. Grenades pushed away. Sniper adds in a good shot there. Sherman rolls forward. Again, sniper almost gets the entire MG crew. Rifleman getting Browning automatics. Further fighting over here. Pioneer squad down for Niksa. The 2nd Panzer Division suffers a great loss. And an MG-42 lost as well. That is definitely bad news. And 2 snipers out again for Gravemouth. No, I actually didn't have that, so never mind. But still, 2 snipers. Grenade against the rifleman. And very close to losing the entire squad right there. But so might Niksa. At the same time, we do see a Panzer Kampfwagenfear coming out. And Niksa's sniper was caught out in the open. The snipers tore through him. And now the pack's next. At the same time, though, if you can get that Panzer IV out and Gravemouth does not get his Sherman repaired, he could win that because, that Sherman is down to half health. It will not last in a 1 versus 1 fight against a Panzer Kampfwagenfear, and the snipers won't be able to help. The enemy advances. So Gravemouth really needs to quickly reinforce the front or pull back. He can't really hold this point with what he has now. That is absolute insanity. And again, he knows that Niksa has a Panzer Command. He should probably also then expect something, and which is not an Ostwind. Unless Niksa, apparently he's expecting Niksa to act completely stupid. Which seems to be an awfully optimistic thing to do.
We are losing ground.
So a bit of a... I'd say this is awfully reckless, actually, by Gravemouth. Of course, he wants to wreck that back, but at the same time, there's a Panzer IV coming, and he should expect some sort of armor. And again, that Sherman will not survive any armored engagement. I mean, it will have to pull away anyway, so there we go. Quickly hitting the back. And they're retreating out of this engagement. And Niksa going pathing. Not a bit upset about that. Snipers pulling away. Infantry moving up, but again, the Sherman is heavily damaged. Rear exposed is definitely not helping. And will there be sticky bombs? Sticky bombs? No, no sticky bombs. Oh dear, that Sherman is toast. Oh dear, Gravemouth stopped it up. Gravemouth stopped it up. And we're seeing a full retreat going in from there as a huge advance from the German infantry follows up. Oh dear, a complete reversal just because Gravemouth wanted to see if he couldn't get that pack. Instead, the result was a full collapse of the front line. And a more or less loss of all gains he made. Although, I mean, it's not a complete disaster. I mean, he didn't actually lose any units, but still, not so good. Not so good. We're seeing tank destroyers out on the way now. That's definitely going to help a bit against the Panzer IV, which of course will then need repairs. Still removes a bit of the momentum and advantage he actually had, and we're seeing mines going quickly down for Niksa. And again, that's also a bit lacking. The engineers were much too slow here. I mean, had he, for example, mined the town, it might actually worked out for Gravemouth. The Panzer IV would have hit it, or the infantry advancing up after it would have hit it. Again, there might have been something, but again, didn't really happen. Instead, Gravemouth's engineers were too busy having a picnic up north. There we go, the swift move in from the rifle actually pushes away, and we do see what looks like to be a very swift retreat, but on the other hand, he's also very quick to get his Panzer IV retreated. Plus, he's actually got the town mined, unlike Gravemouth. And left to clearing up the wreckage to clear the way. Strafing run also prepared, which could actually make it difficult if Niksa wants to make a full-on counter-attack, in particular if Gravemouth catches his troops right there. But we do see a second Panzer Kampfwagen rolling out for Niksa. And it's actually time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation is a bit 50-50. Both players have just been forced off from the town after their own issues. Although, I mean, mines was here nicely used to actually ensure that no American lives were lost, and for that matter, sniper lives were lost. But at the same time, Niksa was a bit better in armor preservation, and we do see a second Panzer IV rolling out. So in that sense, Niksa will be very quickly gaining an armor advantage, which he could use to push up through the center of the village. And which would definitely give Gravemouth quite a headache. What Gravemouth needs to do again is mine the town, which he's already doing, which is good. Consider perhaps some tank traps, otherwise, he needs either more tank destroyers or he needs to call in some anti-tank guns with his airborne doctrine, or even get some airborne troops with recoilless rifles. He definitely needs to buff up on his anti-tank warfare side of things. So plan upgrade. He also could consider getting a medic station up to help with infantry losses. That way also slowly giving him some sort of resilience, which is a bit lacking now due to some of the more unfortunate early losses he suffered. But he needs to secure the town centre, needs to perhaps more aggressively push the right hand side. He does have a bit of tendency of just basically attacking from this small angle, which so far has given Niksa a bit of an advantage. Niksa, on the other hand, needs to basically push forward, takes the town, and again just do as much damage to the Americans as possible with the two Panzer IVs. That's going to be very likely. Very likely indeed. He also needs to get this back, send out some harrying forces right there, and then he could possibly win it. Again, rather depends on what Gravemouth does. Does he fortify this position properly? Does he get enough anti-tank? Then it might not be an easy victory for Niksa. On the other hand, if he doesn't, then Niksa could basically just currently steam roll him with his panzer supported properly with infantry. Let's return to the fight. Panzer IV moves in there, rifle coming under fire. First high explosive shell though misses quite majestically. Second one misses, although very close ending. And the Pioneers repairing the Panzer IV quickly go down. We do see sticky bombs now going off. Tank destroyer rolling in, going to take advantage of this unfortunate situation. Although we do see a second Panzer IV quickly rolling in for support, which could actually cause problems for Gravemouth. But so far he's not quite so keen. He's waiting for more tank destroyers from here. Just getting absolutely blasted by the Panzer Force. German infantry moving in from every angle. Rifleman squad almost wiped out. But just barely managing. More infantry pulling up. Snipers moving up. And again, 2 Panzerkampfwagen. Fear is definitely a headache of some proportion for Gravemouth. And another bunker going up. Second tank destroyer rolling in. Clearly, Gravemouth is not going to attack until he has a slightly larger anti-tank force, which is good, solid thinking. Rifleman moving in, although should be careful. They're going to have to go against 2 Panzer Force. And there we go. Rifleman squad quickly getting decimated. Almost wiped out, in fact. And again, that's just from 2 shots from 2 Panzer Force. Tank destroyers moving in. 1 Panzer IV already heavily damaged. The other one now also taking considerable damage. Doesn't help that currently Niksa is splitting them up. That's going to make it much easier for the tank destroyers moving in. Mistake here by Gravemouth. He should pull back the damaged one. We're seeing a strafing run actually going in. Going to suppress and kill the German infantry nearby, but he loses 1 tank destroyer. And again, he moved in the more damaged one, which quickly resulted in that knocking out. And now, actually, we can see that Niksa will very quickly gain the upper hand. And he's quickly forced to pull out the remaining tanks, so if he actually wants to gain something out of this fight. So that was not the best well-executed assault there from Gravemouth. Lacked a bit of speed. The strafing run was nice, but again, he should have shifted the more damaged tank destroyer to the being behind the more healthy one. Instead, he sent in the health damaged one first, which rather meant he quickly lost a lot more firepower. Instead of having the health one then take the fire, still having 2 tanks which could quickly ruin the 2 Panzer IVs perhaps, but not quite the best engagement right there. Although we do quickly see another one, and of course he could also consider getting a Sherman. For that way, having a tank, so and also the Shermans are basically going to help against the German infantry, but still also being alright against the Panzers. And there we go, mine, and someone went down to that mine.
Germans are seizing territory.
Ready to take it to
Gravemouth swiftly pushing in. BAR left behind. Not really an awful lot of veterans on his troops either, which is not looking too cheerful either. Though admittedly, Niksa doesn't have an awful lot of veterans on his troops either. So it's a bit 50-50 there. Panzer IV getting repaired, slowly advancing in, again coming under fire for that Panzer IV. 11 kills already, quite devastatingly impressive. Central victory point down, and we do see that the points are against Niksa. He actually apparently cancelled that tank destroyer, then decided to get it again. Curious. And of course, you could also consider again, you know, perhaps popping in an anti-tank and to support during advance, a bit of a out of nowhere asset. And we're seeing actually a 3rd Panzer IV out for Niksa, really rolling in with the Panzerific style. Another recon run. Gravemouth, of course, concerned about his positions, what Niksa is doing, keeping an eye on things. That is good. That is good. And of course, one way in there to use a reconnaissance aircraft. We actually do see a medic station up for Gravemouth, so that's, you know, that's good. Although, again, would have been better earlier. Generally, always tends to be Volkskriegs and rifle fighting here. Attempted grenade, but the Volkskriegs might be actually able to win this one. No, we do see suppressive fire from the Volkskriegs, and we do see Niksa quickly realizing this and retreating. Although they still managed to give the riflemen a good beating before they were forced off the field. So currently Gravemouth is holding most of the map, but the question is, can he properly leverage that since it's a bit more lacking? And we do again see that Niksa is gathering a considerable panzer force, which, if properly supported, could really basically punch through Gravemouth's central lines. We do see a 3rd tank destroyer on the way. Snipers need to get out of there before the panzers roll over them. Tank destroyers rolling forward, but this is actually going to be a rather bit of a dangerous gamble by him. And there we go, executed. Do see a tank destroyer popping in. He cancels the tank destroyer, realizing he needs something immediately, something to stop the Panzerkampfwagens. And there we go, anti-tank gun ready. Panzer IV already with damage. Engine could go down, could go down. There we go, Panzer IV out of control. Tank destroyers, so they need to pull out their infantry. Going in, full assault. Snipers can't hold up against that. Tank destroyer down, tank destroyer down. And there are no rifles to actually provide support nearby. Another Panzer IV down. That is definitely something. Snipers continue to kill German grenadiers. Engineers desperately working away to restore that tank destroyer. Nice hit there on the Panzer IV, but the Panzer IV, yes, gets it. And we do see Veteran Zoo pop up, adding a machine gunner to the Panzer IV, and immediately he just shreds some poor bastard. The medics that are quick to pull in the wounded. And we at the same time see a north assault going in there. Medics recover a wounded. Snipers moving in. Need to be careful that they do not get too close to the Panzer IV. Otherwise, that will be a very, very dead American sniper. And then we got another Pioneer squad quickly going down. Pioneers tend to be easy target for such a sniper force. Rather than spotting what's going on, then they won't be able to do much. Honestly, probably should just retreat. Or, mine this area, then retreat. Panzer IV continues to lay down one hell of a barrage right there, single-handedly. Rifle squad almost wiped out and retreated. Another tank destroyer on the way, and we do see a Koenigsegg having been sent in to support the 2nd Panzer Division. Die mächtige Königstiger. So action first time on the Eastern Front. Obviously, since the Western Front only really happened with Normandy. And of course, it was also the basis of the Jagdtiger, which was basically this sort of chassis, just sort of formed up for the tank destroyer with what was essentially actually a naval gun with its 12.8 centimeter gun, which was pretty much overkill. Wasn't really much maneuverable and a very, very high tendency of breaking down. But of course, when they hit, they actually, did some serious damage. Koenigsegg rolling forwards. A few hundreds of those were made, were quite devastating wherever they were. Anti-tank and the quick recruit. Tiger, though, moving forwards. Quick repairing horse, that's a good move. A lot of players tend to forget that, although at the same time they need to be careful. They don't become easy target. Collateral damage, and there we go. Propaganda war. Too close to each other. Tank destroyer nearby, but the German infantry advances up. The anti-tank gun is gone. Strafing run, but a bit too late. Oh dear. Anti-tank gun tries to get out of there, but gets murdered by the grenadiers. 11 kills and a 30 caliber. Oh dear. Clearly Gravemouth was not prepared for the King Tiger. Snipers doing what they can against it. The grenadiers supporting it, leaving the King Tiger very much on his own. Though it is going to clear out that medic station, and we see the Panzer IV repaired and ready, moving in to support the King Tiger. Devastating stuff, devastating stuff. Panzer IV, they're moving in, going to flush out the tank destroyer. Nicely done right there. And the snipers themselves are so close, they're getting crushed. They can smell the panzer oil. And there we go, that tank destroyer is going to go down to that Panzer IV. And there we go. Yankee Panzerjäger ist kaputt. King Tiger firing away. As to the chances of seeing a King Tiger in Communist 2, I imagine it will be there, but it will sort of be, like how it was in Communist Heroes, because the King Tiger was actually not initially available. It only came in much later. In fact, it only came about after opposing France, when Relic basically decided to change out the Tiger race, which was a unit before that, with the King Tiger. And I imagine we'll see the King Tigers as a later addition in the same way. I imagine Relic are just wondering how exactly to implement such a beast like that. Volkswagen's quickly pulling up to support the King Tiger, fighting it on his own damaged engine, but still causing quite a headache for Gravemouth and the 3rd Infantry. Despite the entire tank destroyer battalion sent in to support. And a few grenadiers going to clear out this area. Again, victory points actually getting low. And again, Niksa is fighting very hard to regain them and to protect them. And of course, a slight problem for Gravemouth is he's got 2 snipers, but the sort of force that Niksa actually has currently, of course, is a little less harder to deal with. I mean, a sniper can't really deal with a King Tiger or a Panzer IV. And then we got another Panzer IV running out. I mean, Niksa's not bothering with Panthers. He's not bothering with Austrians. He knows what he's dealing with. And he knows, well, he doesn't really need an Austrian. He doesn't really need a Panther. He just needs Panzer IVs because the Panzer IV, particularly in the numbers and the ways he's using them, can rather easily handle what small forces that Gravemouth is launching at it. Plus, of course, can really decimate the infantry, which is good. Can deal with the tanks as well as when there's a few of them as well, which is good. So overall, the best investment in this case is just getting Panzer IVs, in particular with a bit of veterancy again. They do become rather nasty weapons platforms. And of course, they're cheaper as well. There we go, rifleman down. Oh, Grenadiers took a nice loss. And we actually see a secondary medic banker up there. That is good. Ooh, Volks gets caught over here by a 30 caliber. Tanks are rushing in. So at the same time, though, rather here, Gravemouth does reveal again. And he's building up another tank to force, which of course is likely going to force, or cause Niksa to pull back his panzers together to form a much stronger force, which the Chainsaws will be having a harder time pick apart. And of course, in this case, it might be a better idea to just go for as many anti-tank guns as possible, drop them in, perhaps a few airborne with the quartz rifles, and just try and hit them from as many angles and overwhelm them that way. Or, of course, you could try and catch this Panzer IV operating with the infantry over here on the west flank and knock it out that way, slowly chipping away at Niksa's forces. Currently does not look like he's trying to do that. Instead, he's going to try and knock out the armoured nucleus of Niksa's Panzer force. Although his infantry is getting quite a beating as they're advancing straight at the Panzers. And we're seeing more tanks on the way, so Gravemouth's really lining up for a tank destroyer punch. Infantry going in there. I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to achieve, but it seems quite wasted as most of the squad is just getting murdered. If not the entire squad. And there we go. Niksa is preparing for an assault. We're also seeing a bunker going up. That's likely going to be a repair bunker. We're likely going to see a punch in again for that sense. I mean, oh, this is looking a bit less good. And there's still no mines. So time to get a few mines would perhaps have benefited him. And a swift grenade over there. Both cars quickly sent a few engineers scurrying away. There we go, another tank destroyer. And there we go, bunker up. We're likely going to see a repair bunker, and yes, indeed. And veterans of 3 up at the same time for the Panzers, protecting them against sticky bombs. Not so much against other shots from tanks or anti-tank guns. Plus, though, of course, there's always the cool factor when adding in some armoured church into the Panzers. Oh, he's trying to hit the anti-tank gun. And there we go, looks like we are going to see Gravemouth trying to force the issue here, attacking. But, luring out the King Tiger, going to sticky bomb it, Yes, indeed. But he didn't get a damaged engine, he did not get a damaged engine. And a bombing run. He's calling the bombing run. I think, no, that's a recon run. Phew, I thought that would have been a bombing run. That would have been a bit silly. But, oh dear, he is calling in one. And not really good timing. Of course, the King Tiger not had a damaged engine, so it did not work. Oh dear, that's so much munitions wasted. Oh dear, that was quite unfortunate. Tanks are rolling in, though. The Panzer IVs have been caught up their own. If you could get that anti-tank and if you could rush in some infantry, he could win this. Panzer IV going to go down. The King Tiger is unknown. This could actually work. Perhaps the tank bombing run was merely there to separate. Although we do see one tank destroyer down. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And there we go. Panzer's focusing down. Pioneer's getting sniped. There we go. Panzer IV down. Infantry moving up. They need to recruit that anti-tank gun quickly. Get moving. Rifleman sneaking out there. Gravemouth forces are depleted, but at the same time the King Tiger is very much on its own. There we go, anti-tank are getting recruited. Snipers getting the repair. Snipers constantly ensuring nothing can repair it, but even the anti-tank gun's actually pulling away from this. Rifleman going to sneak up and hit that area. Do a bit of harassment. A quick regrouping from Gravemouth. More tank destroyers are on the way, but at the same time, of course, the risk there will be more armor on the way for Niksa. We go going for the victory point, but at the same time we do see a deftly placed MG42 up here covering that victory point and showing that he cannot be harassed by Gravemouth. Nice thinking it right there by Niksa. Shifting away from the front line, or centre of the front, where probably wouldn't do much against the Germans and tank destroyers. Instead shifting it over to where usually you won't see much vehicles, that is the flanks. So nice move right there by Niksa. Nicely thinking ahead. Trying to once more clear out all of the wreckage so he has a much clearer path. Another tank's on the way again. He's trying to build up a punch, but oh, we are actually seeing a Panther being called in. Second Panzer Division did have a few of this, but the entire battalion of which they had them were actually sent over to fight against the British with the 21st Panzer Division, I believe. But I suppose one could still have been left behind, ridden off as a out of order vehicle, and then all of a sudden just put together anyways. That did happen from time to time. That is, the German troops or division would not report something on to corps or army command. In that way, they kept a few reserves for them, just a bit of extra, so they could actually be sure they wouldn't suddenly be denied something vital. Third tanks on the way. But that Panther is definitely going to be a headache for Gravemouth. Could be he's trying to line up munitions for another bombing run. And then we go back to the same time as he's preparing for an assault. We do see Niksa conducting one as well. Anti-tanker needs to fire armor-piercing rounds. It's not. Oh dear. You really want your anti-tank guns to be firing armor-piercing rounds if possible. Instead, that's not happening, meaning it won't be doing as much damage. It won't be penetrating as much as possible, actually. And when it does fire armor-piercing rounds, it actually does more damage to the King Tiger. Sniper running close up to the King Tiger. That is rather unfortunate. One tank destroyed down, pulling the rest out of there. No sniper getting out of there, although it looks like one did go down. Strafing run. Seems a bit wasteful. Right now, things are definitely not looking good. Another wasted opportunity right there by Gravemouth, I fear. Infantry advancing. Again, attempting this, but apparently also getting in. There is an MG42 firing down, but apparently he's going to sneak up and get off a grenade. Of course, they can do that, I believe, while pinned in company heroes. I'm not entirely sure, though, and do know they can't actually do that in company of heroes 2, because all abilities right there are disabled. In fact, you can't even move while pinned. And there we go. All tank destroyers are down. The King Tiger wrecks them. Panther support. There we go. Gravemouth goes, oh well, GG. Well played. Game over. 3rd Infantry Division fell in the face of the 2nd Panzer Division. A brutal fight. Some good moments right there for Gravemouth, but again, in some cases, you know, he got a bit too greedy. Like, for example, the Sherman right here, he failed to mine the town, which again would have caused some problems, and he probably should have had the medic station up much earlier. But besides the green, I mean, Gravemouth played pretty well, but again, there was mistakes, and again, you know, in some cases, Niksa rather had him outthought. But again, good solid early game from Gravemouth. Good mid-game, but again, there were some problems which rather slowly but surely gave Niksa the advantage when he began rolling out the Panzer IVs. And of course, the King Tiger definitely did not help Gravemouth's case. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something. If you did, why not subscribe? Tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own or provide some feedback of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.